Hi, everyone. Welcome to Bud Funding's Wednesday Lives. My name is Kristen Skelton, and I am the founder of Bud Funding. Every Wednesday, I go live in this group sharing different tips, tricks, and other sustainable things that I've learned along the way and that I want to share with my community. So today, I'm joined with two other amazing people, Anna Pasmino, who works for the University of Calgary, and Gideon Choi, who is a current researcher. He's a master's student at the University of Calgary in the Sustainable Energy Development Master's program I graduated from in 2017. So he's doing some amazing research, and he's here with me to answer some of my questions. At the end, you guys will have an opportunity to put questions in the chat. So if you're with me, just put in your favorite emoji in the comments. And in order for me to see your name, because I'm using StreamYard, you'll have to follow the link that's just above. So just follow those instructions. And I believe you just click on a link and it will you will log into StreamYard. And that's just so I can see who is commenting, because I'm not actually on Facebook. I'm using a different platform called StreamYard. So yeah, because I can see right now, happy to be here. I'm not sure who that is. It says Facebook user. So just make sure you follow those instructions so I can address you directly. So thank you so much to everyone for being here. And I'm excited to get started and learn more about Gideon's project. So just a little background on his project. So the University of Calgary is developing plans to become a zero waste community. And one of the biggest hurdles to overcome for the university is how to thoughtfully design a zero waste system for research labs, as this type of waste requires special handling. Gideon's project goal will be to design a best practice manual that minimizes and potentially eliminates lab waste at the university research labs. So before we get into the nitty-gritty of the research, Gideon, I want to know a little bit more about you and what drew you to this master's program.
So I started in 2020, but I was looking at some career transition options for myself in 2019. I initially was looking at data science, and I thought, big data is something big that is coming up. I tried my hand at a little bit. I did some computer programming and found out I'm not very good at it. And something else that caught my attention was the Sustainable Energy Development Program. My wife had a coworker who was part of the program, I believe, about 6 or 7 years ago. So it got me excited, thinking that there's maybe a way to be professional in sustainability and have that thing of making money while saving the environment. And that's how I came to this program.
Very cool. And what were you doing before you started the program? Did you have a previous background or any knowledge in sustainability?
And not directly in sustainability. I studied biochemistry and graduated with a BSc in 2000. And then I went to do an education degree and finished that in 2002. I worked as a full-time teacher for 6 years. And then for the past 8 years, I have been running a business, a piano studio, teaching music lessons and having kids come to my home. So it's been a great 8 years, and I was looking for a career transition after that. I think if I did work in sustainability, it was with my own science teaching. I was always promoting sustainability with my students, or stewardship, or having them think about what the long-term impacts are of the technologies that are common to us. Or even in my own home, I'm kind of the keeper of knowledge of which waste goes in which bin. So that's been my sustainability experience.
So were you a science teacher before?
A science teacher and math teacher mostly. I taught grade 8 and grade 9, and then a few years grade 10 through 12.
Oh, that's very cool. A
Mhm.
little side tip about me, I was teaching English in Korea before I started the master's program as well. So that's very interesting. Thanks for sharing.
Very good.
Anna, so I'm a little bit curious about this research topic and how it came to be and how you got partnered with the University of Calgary Masters of Science in Sustainable Energy Development program.
Absolutely. So I'm actually a graduate from the program, from the
Oh,
Sustainable Energy
cool.
Development Program. I graduated in 2013. So I'm happy to now be helping somebody else go through the program. As far as the university, I've been here for the last 2 years as the recycling and waste coordinator. And notice, as the university is a research institution, we have over 500 different labs on campus, and labs generate quite of waste, similar to other universities in Canada. And I think there has been focused on materials that come from labs and how we can become a little bit more sustainable. Sometimes also because of the safety aspect of things, especially when labs deal with chemicals and biological hazards. But they also produce a lot of what we call clean waste that can be easily diverted and recycled. So it's great that now we have someone like Gideon who is going to take over this project and help labs really understand about the different purchasing capacities that they have and the different items that they can utilize for their labs.
Absolutely. That's really cool. And this research is something that universities across North America, across the world could potentially use. Would you agree?
And benefit, absolutely.
And Anna, I'm curious. So the UFC is doing lots of really cool sustainability, different projects and programs. So what are some of the most interesting things your department is doing right now, would you say, in terms of sustainability?
Actually, we are currently just finalizing our zero waste strategy, which is going to be the strategy that is going to be implemented across the university. And we are happy that we have a set of goals and objectives that the university can follow to become a zero waste community. So I think that's one of the greatest things the university is currently doing, especially in regards to waste and recycling.
Yeah, for sure. And Gideon, what materials would be considered lab waste for anyone that doesn't have, experience in science education? What materials would be considered lab waste, and why is this waste specifically a problem?
Mm-hmm. And I guess I'll talk about the different types of waste, but the things that I'll be looking at are a lot of containers. So it might be plastic containers that had chemicals or glass containers. You'll have pipettes. Those are small measuring tips for getting an exact amount of liquid, and things like eyedroppers, and you'll have containers and all that. And I was quite surprised at the numbers because all of these are like empty containers. And even so, like over the 500 plus labs that are at the university, they generate like 11 cubic meters of waste every 2 weeks. And the bin, if you see it, you have to think of, I like to think of it like in piano sizes. So you can fit 10 pianos in that bin, and they collect that every 2 weeks. So added up, it's about 20,000 kilograms of waste. All of these empty containers for the year, and this is just the non-contaminated waste. So there would be further research, I'm sure, on the contaminated waste because there's radioactive contamination or chemical contamination or biohazardous contamination. So my portion of the research will be looking at the non-contaminated side of the lab waste.
Wow, yeah, that's a ton, hey?
Mm-hmm.
So how will you be conducting your research, and what will you be doing to collect your data for this study?
And it'll be a system-wide look at things. The first step will be to do some visual audits. And those things that I mentioned are among the top of the waste items that are collected. And so far, the university has some systems in place. Anna was played a big part in putting together this blue bin recycling, and this is separate from the mixed recycling that already happens. So the blue bin has more specific lab waste because these things, when you look at them, they look scientific and they look like, oh, they might be contaminated. So with this blue bin, we have kind of a structure in place where you put your cleaned plastics and your cleaned glass in there, and then that can be well sorted and then moved to the appropriate place. So with all of that, I'll be conducting some interviews and asking the lab managers whether the blue bin is working and how we can fix it in an easy way and in a way that's smart. And the biggest strategies points will be about making the system work in a nice way and in a way that makes sense. The other parts of my research will look at the ordering aspect, finding plastics that are better to recycle or easier to recycle, and then looking at how we can use the concepts of social marketing to promote this blue bin collecting. And then finally, looking at what markets do we have for the waste that we do collect. And that'll be one of those big things about zero waste. The waste itself has value. It has it's been mined out of the ground, or it's been somehow made into a certain material. How can we preserve that value, and how can we keep it going rather than this one way you make it and then you dispose it? So finding a way to sell parts of the material that is collected. One other thing that I should mention is my research will be quantifying some of the effects. And so looking at what impact improvements we have if we increase our recycling, or what are the economics of reusing certain materials, and looking at the economics of maybe selling those materials or finding markets for the materials that we're disposing of.
Very cool. So if you guys were able to sell some of those materials, Anna, what would you guys be using the money for? Or would it be enough money to use for an actual project? Or maybe that part hasn't been figured out yet.
We haven't figured that part yet. We're happy to also look into maybe collaborating with other labs and be able to reuse. So when one lab does not use, maybe another lab needs it and use it. And we find that there's a lot of materials that sometimes a lab uses it once, but it can be reused multiple times. So part of the study is also going to be looking at to what items can be reused and how can we safely reuse them with other labs on campus. So I think that's the bigger priority, and trying to make it maybe into a circular economy would be nice to also see, can we sell this to other labs outside of the university and then help other people? So definitely looking at that life cycle for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Go ahead.
And one thing also, just seeing the research and looking at this idea of surplus, if you can look at the whole university as a system and see if one lab has something that other labs can use, then we pair them together. And we don't know how the system can work, but I have seen models where you have a board of people that are selling and people that are wanting, and trying to match those together would be a great way to reuse things rather than having just an excess stock of something and having it just sit on the shelf.
Yeah, for sure. And just a little background for everyone that doesn't know how this master's program works. It's course-based, but also there is a capstone project, which is kind of like a mini thesis. And so that's something that each student picks their own topic. So I'm just curious, Gideon, did you have an idea for a topic before you came into this program? Did you want to specifically look at a program, capstone project regarding zero waste, or did this just catch your interest when you read it? I'm just curious why you chose this project.
My initial project had to do with bioplastics. And so I was drawing from my biochemistry, and my thought revolved around how much single-use plastics there are. And in order to have kind of a workable study, I was imagining maybe introducing bioplastics into an institution. So it could be a hospital, it could be a university, and finding ways to put all of the waste streams into one place. The idea of it kind of changed as I went through the program, and also hearing that bioplastics may not be the silver bullet that I thought they could they could be. But I was always interested in this zero waste idea. So when I learned more about circular economy and learned about how it's not just bioplastics, but plastics in general, if we can find a way to keep the value of the plastic itself, then it's not needing to reinvent the whole plastics system, but more taking what we have and reutilizing that. I was fortunate to be paired with Anna. Initially, I reached out to the university's Office of Sustainability because they had a project related to higher education institutes and what are some best practices that can be how can they be promoted and how can they be shared among between the different institutions. But when Anna came with this project related to research labs and related to reducing waste, it was something that really intrigued me. So that's how I ended up here.
And for those that don't know what bioplastics are, would you be able to share a brief description of what that means?
Sure. So plastics are generally made petrochemicals. So you take oil and you can separate it into some useful components. A lot of times oil will be used for gasoline, but the oil that you dig from the ground can be made into plastics. So Alberta has a very big plastic economy because we have so much in terms of oil reserves. The way to build plastics, though, has everything to do with the chemistry. Plastics are these long chain molecules, and right now we build them using the carbon and the oxygen that comes from the oil. But you can get the same carbon and the same oxygen from things like from wood or things like coconut husks. So bioplastics uses the chemistry. You break down these plant materials and also make them into plastics. The benefit of bioplastics is you can put them in recycling, and you're able to break them down. The big problem with the conventional plastics is they're made to last, and they're excellent at what they do, except they last 400 years. And if you bury them, they will cause problems for the next 400 years, wherever they're put.
Yeah, for sure. And I heard both of you mention a term called circular economy. Anna, I wonder if you could define that for our audience, because some people might not know what that means.
And you mean the share economy, yes?
Sorry? Circular?
Circular economy? Oh, circular economy,
Yes.
yes. Different than a linear economy when you utilize a product and then the product goes to waste. In a circular economy, you use the product as a resource. So instead of disposing it into a regular landfill, we utilize the product again, either by upcycling and using it again, or by recycling into another product. So it's that concept of utilizing your waste as a resource.
Yeah, very cool. So what we're in right now is basically a linear economy. So it's a straight line. So it's like a take, make, waste model. And then a circular economy is kind of the ideal. It's what we want to get to. And so it's a take, make, reuse. And so the actual product itself stays within the economy instead of exiting and becoming waste. So that's awesome. Gideon, I'm interested. What's one of the most interesting things that you say you've come across so far in your research?
One of those the big things is how there's kind of alignment in many different universities, and so the University of Calgary is not the only institute that is looking at waste reduction. So when I look at the movement overall, different universities are thinking about this and are also identifying this as a either a big win or just something that needs to be addressed. And I'm very grateful to see all of the things that the University of Calgary is doing. And these are things that happened before I was a sustainability student, because they have the composting program, they have their plastic reduction initiatives, and they have the mixed recycling that was implemented. And to see that movement in the university and then to see it in other universities as well, there's just a lot of excitement and just this groundswell of understanding we need to do something, and we can do it here at the universities.
And on the other side of that, what would you say is a big roadblock in order for the university to achieve this zero waste goal?
For the labs, the Blue Bin program has had some trouble with contamination, and the biggest reason why the waste ends up in going to landfill is because it's suspect. Like we might have some sort of contamination, and what I find is people are wanting to help and they're wanting to find a way to reduce, and that's great. It's not really a question of whether we should, but a question of how can we do it and how can we help. And the rules to get a chemical bottle clean aren't necessarily that straightforward, especially with so many different types of labs. And I think that's just the biggest hurdle, being able to find a good way and a simple way to clean the plastics and to clean the glass that is there, so that we can keep the value of the material, whether it's plastic or whether it's glass.
And then just in general, in terms of sustainability, and this goes out to both of you, what gives you the most hope for a bright future?
Anna, do you want to go first?
Sure. And that's where one of the reasons why I love working here at the university is the passion that students have when it comes to sustainability and protecting our environment. And like Gideon and many other students, they're
Lost Anna.
Oh.
We lost you for a second there, Anna.
It might be the internet connection here.
Yeah. Gideon, do you want to just jump in there?
Sure. The sustainability program has opened my eyes to a lot of the potential, and also a lot of the I guess the potential ways forward. When I first thought about change the environment, to me it was like this bottomless pit. You're going to suck money out of something to deal with the problem. Where my thinking is starting to change to look at how there is a profit to be had with fixing the environment, because what we're talking about, there might be value in the waste that we're producing, and there's big benefits there for the environment because you're not taking all these extra resources and you're not burying this waste to cause problems in the future, and you're also improving the livelihood of people as well, in the sense of the place where we're producing plastics might be local because you're recycling it, and so you're able to reuse those materials here, and you're looking at places that have maybe less established waste management, and you're not pushing all this plastic to somewhere else. You're not shipping it offshore and making it someone else's problem. And it's been an eye-opening experience to see that it's not just a problem to fix and we have to do it, but there is benefits all around if we do fix the environment.
And I really like what you said there. I think it's like a mind perspective shift, just thinking of waste as a resource, and that, like not just tossing it away, you could actually potentially make money from it. And, when we're recycling items, that's, what they're doing with the city of Calgary is they're selling certain types of plastic to a buyer, right? So it's just a different mindset and just thinking about waste as a resource and totally different. So I really like that. And if people wanted to find out more about the programs at the university, Anna, the waste and recycling programs or the sustainability programs, what would be the best way to find out more?
Yes, thank you, Christian. Sorry about that. I've been having
That's
a
okay.
little bit of connection issues up here. If they can access our sustainability website at the university, we do a lot of what is called Campus as a Learning Lab, where we partner with professionals here on campus, partner with students on different projects. And as I was saying, there's a lot of students that come into the university with great ideas, and we want to utilize them and partner with them and help them create those new initiatives, not only for the university, but things that they can do around the world in regards to sustainability. So I encourage them to go to the website of the University of Calgary under sustainability or as Campus as a Learning Lab, and most of the information is hidden.
And I'll put those in the comments below so people can find that. And Gideon, if people would like to learn more about your research, how could they connect with you?
I am open to email. My email is gideon.choi1, so gideon.choi1 at ucalgary.ca. You can also reach me through LinkedIn, and my profile is, if you search for Gideon Choi, I believe you'll be able to find me.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. Thanks to both of you so much for taking the time to share with the Bud Funding community today. It's so inspiring to learn about all the projects that are happening at the university right now. And, you know, the master's students are doing amazing things, and it's something to get really excited about. And I will be interviewing another master's student next Wednesday. So stay tuned for another really exciting topic, and I'll see everyone in 1 week. Goodbye.